Yo, family, there's some crazy stuff going on around the world, and the animals are trying to let us know something. Let me know in the comments what you think is happening right now. Let me know if you think it's because of government, interference with the weather and everything else.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to Fearen Fear Files. I have some good content lined up. I'm wondering what's going on with this weather. It's getting crazy out here, all around the world, but we don't see it. But I'm gonna bring this content to you so you can catch it live. But we're gonna start right now with what I have lined up. But before I do that, hit that like button, subscribe to the content, and hype me up, man. So the algorithm could push these videos out so y'all can get them every day. You know what I'm saying? On time and as I get them out there. But without further ado, let's get to the video.
World that seemed to break the laws of nature. Mysterious phenomena. Strange crystal balls on beaches. And terrifying sounds coming straight from hell. This video is a compilation of some of the most inexplicable events caught on camera around the world. A man was driving when he captured this breathtaking moment in the Noto Peninsula in Japan. It looked as if the earth itself was breathing, as the tiles on the pavement and road slightly rose up and then settled down again. Stunned by the sight, he stayed there for a while, watching until the ground returned to normal. Then he quickly shared the video on Instagram, leaving viewers wondering about how a solid road could move up and down on its own.
Hey, Amar.
Flaring sky. This bizarre phenomenon occurred in China on the 16th of February, 2025. Everything seemed normal until strange glowing objects suddenly lit up the sky, appearing like flares of light moving toward the earth. Some spectators panicked and began to run, while some managed to film the moment. Otherwise, no one would have believed that something like this had happened. Later, experts claimed on the news that these objects were meteorites falling from the sky. Squishy gout. A group of friends was exploring the outskirts of a town in North America when they stumbled upon a strange patch of land that moved like a trampoline. As they walked across it, the ground shifted beneath their feet, as if air or water were trapped under the grass. One of them recorded a video and posted it online, asking viewers what this phenomenon could be. One viewer explained that it happens when a pocket of water becomes trapped beneath the grass surface, forming a squishy and jiggly earth. This often occurs after heavy rain or irrigation and can happen on newly grown grass or in areas with poor drainage or compacted soil. Sometimes it can even signal an irrigation leak or buried plastic. Mysterious river. A tourist captured this incredible moment in Zhejiang, China. The river was running quietly when all of a sudden, a strange pattern of waves appeared on the water's surface. Curiously, he asked one of the locals, who told him that this was actually the Qiantang River, famous for its fish scale tides, a rare and breathtaking natural phenomenon in which an incoming tidal bore forms spiraling, overlapping waves that look like shimmering fish scales on the water's surface, creating a shocking optical illusion. Strange spherical object.
Strange things are happening around the world, and not in one country, not on one continent. Right now, on every side of the globe, events are unfolding that match the things the Bible said would mark the last days. In Israel, a majority of Israeli Jews now say they support rebuilding the temple, and 150,000 people are already training for temple service. In China, the largest army on earth has been rehearsing the blockade of an entire nation. At the Vatican, the leader of the world's largest church stood side by side with the builders of artificial intelligence, and the religions of the world applauded together. In Japan and in California, on opposite sides of the Pacific Ocean, governments and scientists are warning that massive earthquakes are coming. And in Brazil, people are beginning to pay for things with nothing but the palm of their hand. The temple, wars and rumors of wars, religion speaking with one voice, earthquakes, and a system of buying and selling tied to the human body. 5 signs, 5 places, 1 pattern. Now, as always, let me be clear before we start. We are not setting dates. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, verse 36, that no man knows the day or the hour. And we're not naming any person, any church, or any company as the fulfillment of prophecy. We are doing what Jesus commanded. We're watching. So, let's look. Let's start with Israel, because Israel is God's prophetic clock. For centuries now, the idea of rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem was a fringe dream. Not anymore. A recent survey found that 55% of Israeli Jews now support rebuilding the temple, and around 150,000 Israelis have enrolled in training for temple service, with the goal of 200,000, including the preparation of priests and Levites. Visits to the Temple Mount have hit record levels, and the search for a pure red heifer, the animal required by Numbers chapter 19 to purify the priesthood, continues through an organized breeding program. A new calf was born in Galilee just weeks ago. Now, she was later disqualified because of a blemish, and we report that honestly. But the program goes on, and organizers have even proposed building a platform on the Mount of Olives facing the Temple Mount for the ceremony. Now, why does this matter? Because prophecy requires a temple. Daniel chapter 9 verse 27 says, sacrifices will be stopped, which means sacrifices must first begin. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4 says, the man of sin will sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And Jesus warned in Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 of the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. For 2,000 years, there was no temple and no serious plan for one. Today, it's a funded national movement with majority support. The stage prophecy requires is being measured and built. Now travel east to China. Twice in the past year, China's military carried out large-scale exercises that simulated a blockade of Taiwan, reportedly including rehearsals of amphibious assaults and long-range rocket fire. And this year, China raised its defense budget again to roughly $278 billion, and its official government report used harder language about Taiwan than in previous years. Taiwan, in response, approved almost $25 billion for new weapons. Now, understand what this is. It's not war. It's the rehearsal of war, performed openly, so that the whole world can watch. And that is exactly the atmosphere Jesus described. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 and 7 says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Rumors of wars means the constant threat, the drills, the build-ups, the fear of what might come next. And Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 tells us that in the last days, the way of the kings of the east will be prepared. The east is rising, arming, and rehearsing. The Bible said it would. Now come to Rome. In May of this year, the Pope released the first major teaching document of his papacy, an encyclical about artificial intelligence and the protection of human dignity. And at the presentation, standing alongside the Pope, was a co-founder of one of the world's leading artificial intelligence companies. Church leadership and the AI industry, publicly, at one table. And notice what happened next. Orthodox leaders praised it. Jewish scholars endorsed it. And within days, it was quoted in the British House of Lords by bishops and politicians from every major party. Commentators openly said the document was written for an audience far beyond the Catholic Church. Religion, government, and technology all around the world, responding together with one voice. Now, hear me carefully. We're not calling any man the false prophet. We're not attacking anyone's concern about AI. And some of that concern is genuinely wise. But we are watching a pattern. Revelation chapter 13 and Revelation chapter 17 describe a final world system where religious authority, political power, and global influence flow together into one stream. What was impossible for centuries, every faith and every government responding as one, is now starting to look normal. Even the encyclical itself opened by warning that humanity is choosing between a new Tower of Babel and a city with God. That is the choice. And Babel, remember, was unity without God. Now look at the Pacific Ocean here, and look at both sides of it. In Japan, the government's own earthquake panel says there's roughly an 80% chance of a magnitude 8 to 9 megaquake on the Nanaki Trough within 30 years. A disaster that officials warn could cost hundreds of thousands of lives. Japan has even issued the first megaquake advisory in its history. And in California, scientists announced just weeks ago that the southern San Andreas and San Jacinto faults are carrying more stress than at any point in the past 1,000 years. They call the system critically loaded. Other researchers warn that multiple magnitude 7 earthquakes are coming to California in the decades ahead. And in their own words, whether we're prepared or not. Two of the most advanced nations.
Did you know that all over the world, something unusual is happening with the oceans? The water is noticeably pulling away from the shores and not rushing back. Recently, reports began to come from different parts of the planet about strange behavior of the seas. For example, on the coast of Southeast Asia, locals say that they have never seen such a strong low tide. Similar cases have been recorded in North and South America. The water suddenly retreats from the shore, leaving the seabed exposed. And the unusual phenomena don't stop there. Fish are starting to behave strangely, gathering in massive groups, and moving as if trying to leave a dangerous area. Meanwhile, deep-sea species that normally live at depths are rising to the surface. As an example, recently in Mexico, the so-called doomsday fish washed ashore, often associated with omens of disasters. In addition, at the depth of the Mariana Trench, a creature previously unknown to science was recorded. You can find a video of this creature by searching "creature at the bottom of the Mariana Trench" on TikTok.
The world feels normal, right? But what if I told you there are 5 real things happening right now that almost no one is talking about? Make sure to like and share this video, because every single one of these stories is real and a little unsettling. Number 1, the drone mystery. In Denmark, mysterious drones have been flying near airports and military bases, forcing flights to stop. No one knows who's behind them, and the government isn't saying a word. Number 2, exploding birds in California. In Richmond, California, birds have been dropping from the sky, some literally bursting mid-air. Officials say it's just trauma, but residents are starting to panic. Number 3, UFO surge over New York. Over 60 UFOs have been reported across New York this year. Witnesses describe glowing green lights that move in impossible ways, then vanish without a trace. Number 4, the man beneath the floor. In Oregon, a family found someone secretly living under their home, complete with lights, power, and a bed. They only discovered him after hearing faint breathing through the floorboards. Number 5, black rain in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has seen black rainstorms this year, so dark they've turned day into night. Scientists call it pollution and climate change, but no one really knows what's causing it. What do you think? Are these just strange coincidences or signs of something bigger happening right now? Leave your thoughts in the comments, follow for more, and as always, stay curious.
July 3rd, 2026. The serpent is now starting to move. Just last night, there was activity with the serpent's head. This is the cutaway from South America to Antarctica. And it's starting to move. There was a massive earthquake. It's pushing forward like a snake. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this is the little season of Satan, this is the short time, and the serpent is starting to move. It's all downhill from here, ladies and gentlemen. Christ is King. Believe in what He has done for me, for you, for the world. The serpent is on the move. It all starts. And it's not going to stop. So, good luck. God bless. Woo! It's on, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Now, if you saw mud coming out of a tree, what would you do? Leave a comment. Let me know what you do. You saw mud coming out of a tree.
A rare scene as a mud volcano erupts in Taiwan, creating a fascinating natural phenomenon.
Man, this car is so fucking lucky.
like guttering from the building destroyed.
Este es el cielo ahora mismo aquí en Paipota.
Extremely strange clouds appeared in the sky over Paiporta, Spain. Is it a sign of things to come?
Mira. Me da miedo.
Look at these strange clouds in La Pampa province, Argentina. I imagine a giant dragon dancing in the sky. If you ever visit the Great Smoky Mountains in the US, you might witness one of nature's rarest wonders. Thousands of fireflies lighting up in perfect synchrony, like floating Christmas lights shimmering through the night. Do you know what this strange black circle really is? It's like the earth is splitting open, an apocalyptic sight. Is this heaven? I can't believe my eyes right now. The shocking image of fog completely covering El Portezuelo Hill in El Salvador has caused a stir in public opinion. I felt extremely breathless watching this video. The car was swallowed up in seconds by a sinkhole in a residential area of Mumbai. Oh, how beautiful! The rare phenomenon sun candles occurs when sunlight interacts with suspended ice crystals, refracting the light into geometric patterns. A torrential downpour triggered a massive landslide in Uti, southern India. Local residents were evacuated, and no casualties have been reported. Residents of Tulsa, Oklahoma, witnessed a rare weather phenomenon. After a storm, hundreds of cloud formations appeared in the sky, resembling large water droplets.
God's creation. Terrible tornado storm comes through.
Any help would come too late.
What the fuck is this place, and why does it only appear from space? It all starts far above the Earth, so high that borders disappear and the world feels quiet. From space, the desert looks endless, empty, harsh, forgotten. But then, something breaks the pattern. Strange shapes begin to appear. Perfect lines, repeating structures, too organized to be random, too precise to be natural. As we zoom closer, the silence turns uncomfortable. These aren't just marks in the sand. They look intentional, planned, built with purpose. From this height, it feels like a signal, a message written on the surface of the planet. Not meant to be seen from the ground, only from above. The desert has always been a place of secrets. Empires rose and fell here. Wars were planned in silence. And today, tensions across the region continue to grow. Looking at this from space, you can't help but wonder, is this infrastructure, a military installation, or something prepared long before the world started watching?
Check out this one.
In the skies over California, something terrifying appeared, a series of glowing numbers, suspended high above the earth. Not airplane trails, not balloon debris, but clear, sharp digits shining so bright they sent chills down people's spines. Even stranger videos from different angles all revealed the same thing. The numbers didn't appear all at once. Instead, they slowly materialized, as if someone were typing them across the night sky. One user claimed the digits matched a passage from the book of Revelation. Another said that when calculated, the numbers lined up almost perfectly with earthquake prediction models. Others whispered in dread that it wasn't random at all, but the beginning of a countdown.
Doesn't that kind of remind you of that show Paradise? Have you seen that show where they had the typing in the sky that said like "No More Lies" or something like that? They were doing it as a promotion for the show a while ago, but now people are saying that they're seeing these strange numbers and patterns in the sky over California.
Can somebody tell me what the heck is going on with America's food supply? Because right now, they have people scared to eat anything. Let's get to it. So you can't eat meat right now because 10 million pounds of meat have been recalled for listeria. Right? That's pretty crazy. You can't eat vegetables because there's some strange parasite on the vegetables that's giving explosive diarrhea. Pretty interesting, right? And then we hear yesterday that San Diego, Tijuana released a bunch of sewage, a bunch of doo-doo water into San Diego's beach. So that means you can't eat seafood either because the seafood is eating doo-doo. So my question to you, if you're in America and you have these three things going on, kind of sound third world, right? What are you going to eat? Maybe you should try some of that lab-grown meat or eat soy. I'm out.
I know this is going to cause a bunch of news, but scientists are going to be loading up a truck with antimatter and shutting down CERN for the first time in 10 years.
Listen to what he's about to say. CERN is shutting down next week, and people are starting to panic. On June 29th, CERN's Large Hadron Collider is scheduled to shut down until 2030, and people are starting to notice a pattern. CERN first fired up in the year 2008. Within days, Wall Street collapsed, and the world was thrown into the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Then, CERN entered its first major shutdown in 2013. Within 24 hours, a massive meteor exploded over Russia in one of the most powerful impacts in modern history. Then, CERN entered its second long shutdown from 2018 to 2022. And what happened during that window? A global pandemic, worldwide lockdowns, supply chain chaos, economic meltdown, political unrest, and a world that never went back to normal. Now CERN is shutting down again, this time until 2030, as AI explodes, as wars escalate, as governments push digital IDs, as America approaches its 250th birthday, and as CERN prepares an even bigger collider for the future. Maybe it's all coincidence, but how many coincidences before it becomes a pattern? What do you think happens over the next 4 years while CERN is offline?
Make sure to save this video in case they try to delete it. This is seriously weird stuff going on, and make sure to drop me a follow because I will be updating you guys on all the current news going on with the war and everything in this world, plus stocks and crypto, so drop me a follow.
In a world where over 41% of the Earth's surface is already desert, and another 40% is at risk of becoming one, survival itself has become a race against the sand. Nowhere was that battle more desperate than in northern China's Kabuki Desert, a 7,000 square mile wasteland that once swallowed villages and silenced entire communities. But what seemed irreversible began to change. Through a bold national effort, over 300 million willow trees were planted, 4.5 million rabbits released, and 196,000 solar panels installed, turning desolation into one of the planet's greatest environmental comebacks. The desert that swallowed everything. Imagine flying over a sea of gold, endless dunes stretching as far as the eye can see. The wind howls across the emptiness, sculpting waves of sand that shift and move like a living ocean. But this isn't the Sahara. This is northern China. And beneath those dunes lie the bones of villages, roads, and dreams that once were. Nature, it gives life, shapes civilizations, and sustains everything we know. Yet, it can also take it all back. Across the planet, deserts are expanding faster than forests can grow, but few places show that harsh truth as clearly as the Kabuki Desert. Tucked deep within Inner Mongolia, the Kabuki stretches across more than 7,000 square miles, roughly the size of Massachusetts. It's the 7th largest desert in China, but once it wasn't a desert at all. Generations ago, Kabuki was alive, rolling grasslands, dotted with rivers and small farming villages. Families grew crops, herded animals, and watched the sun rise over green fields. But nature has moods. And when balance broke, everything changed. The winds grew stronger, hotter, sharper. Winters cut like knives, temperatures dropping to -4 degrees Fahrenheit, slicing through layers of cloth and skin. Summers scorched the soil until it cracked open like a broken mirror. Slowly, the grass stopped growing, the rivers vanished, the soil turned to dust, and then came the sand. At first, it crept in quietly, a patch here, a dune there. Then entire fields disappeared overnight. Sandstorms howled through villages like angry ghosts, burying homes, roads, and even rivers under mountains of dust. People woke up to find their doors sealed by dunes taller than their rooftops. In just a few decades, the Kabuki expanded eastward by more than 25 miles, swallowing thousands of acres of farmland. Crops failed, cattle starved. One by one, families packed their belongings and left, leaving behind empty homes half buried in sand. To those who stayed, the landscape looked like the end of the world. Locals began calling it the Sea of Death. But this wasn't just a local tragedy, it was a warning. As Kabuki spread, it sent massive dust storms sweeping across northern China, reaching as far as Beijing. The desert had become a living threat to cities hundreds of miles away. By the 1950s and 60s, the Chinese government could no longer ignore the crisis. Massive anti-desertification campaigns were launched, an early environmental effort on a scale the world had never seen. They planted windbreak forests to block the gales. They banned livestock grazing to protect fragile grass. They drilled deep wells, hoping to coax life from the dry earth. Billions were invested. Entire armies of workers and scientists joined the fight, but the desert didn't care. The sand kept advancing, swallowing everything in its path. The problem, they realized, wasn't just about trees or water. It was deeper, and nature wasn't going to yield so easily. For decades, Kabuki remained an open wound in China's landscape. A haunting reminder of how quickly fertile land could die when the environment turns against you. Yet, somewhere amid that hopelessness, one man looked at the endless dunes and saw not a curse, but a challenge. Locals called him mad. History would call him something else entirely, the Desert King. The Madman of Kabuki, the Desert King. If the Kabuki Desert had a sworn enemy, his name would be Wang Wenbiao, the man locals first called crazy before they started calling him king. But this story doesn't begin with power or privilege. It begins with a young schoolteacher from Inner Mongolia, poor, exhausted, and surrounded by sand. Every morning, a much younger Wang would wake before sunrise, hop on a battered bicycle, and pedal 6 miles through dunes just to reach his classroom. The wind was merciless. By the time he arrived, his face would be crusted with sand, and his lungs burned from dust. Sometimes the gusts were so strong that his bicycle half disappeared in the shifting dunes. That was life in Kabuki. For most people, it was a nightmare. For Wang, it became a mission. He once looked around at the endless dunes and said something that sounded more like madness than hope. "If I can't escape the desert," he said, "I'll make it pay rent." By the late 1980s, Kabuki had already buried villages and was threatening what little livelihood remained. The land was barren, the air dry, and opportunity non-existent. Then, in 1988, at the age of 28, Wang took over a struggling salt factory in the heart of the desert, a factory that couldn't even transport its own product because the roads kept getting swallowed by sand. Every route they built vanished within weeks. Trucks got stuck. Workers quit. The business was dying, and Wang realized something. The only way to save the factory was to save the desert itself. So he did something almost no one had ever attempted. He invested every yuan he had, and plenty he didn't, into fighting the sand. He bought stretches of barren land and began to plant, not just salt, but hope.
Armed with little more than determination and curiosity, Wong began experimenting. He built windbreak fences to stop the dunes from crawling across the roads. He dug irrigation ditches and planted the hardiest desert shrubs he could find. Most of them died. The wind buried seedlings faster than they could grow. Machinery broke down. Workers complained that the project was cursed. Even local officials dismissed him as that delusional teacher with a shovel. But Wong wasn't delusional. He was observant. Living among the dunes, he began recording everything. The direction of the wind, the shifting of the sands, the patterns of rare rainfall. Slowly, he began to see the desert not as an enemy, but as a living system, one that could be studied, understood, and maybe even persuaded to change. Instead of forcing technology onto nature, he decided to work with it, to mimic the desert's own logic. Every dune, every gust of wind became part of his experiment. He learned where to plant certain trees, how to shape the land to trap water, and how to make nature itself do most of the heavy lifting. For years, people mocked him. Reporters ignored him. Some said he was wasting his life chasing mirages. But slowly, imperceptibly, something began to change. The sand didn't move as fast. A few seedlings survived the storms, then a few more. His salt factory, renamed Alliant Resources Group, became the foundation of something far bigger, a mission to turn the Kabuki Desert into a living laboratory for ecological rebirth. He began hiring locals, teaching them how to plant and protect the fragile vegetation. The desert that had once driven people away was now giving them work, and with it, a reason to stay. Step by step, Wang's mad dream started to look less like insanity and more like foresight. But just when people thought they'd seen the limits of his creativity, he made his wildest move yet.
Something weird is happening in the middle of the ocean, and I don't see many people talking about it, so I want to show this video to you. Basically, these guys are in a boat in the middle of the ocean. They're just cruising through, minding their own business, and you're going to see this weird phenomenon. This may be normal, I don't know, I haven't seen anyone talking about it, not trying to start a conspiracy, but take a look. You're going to see the water be really, smooth here, and then they're going through a part that's really, really rough. Now, I can't... Right here. So you can... it's kind of... Yeah, right here. See this line? They're in the middle of the ocean. The water is the same depth on here as it is here, but it goes from super rough to really smooth, completely different textured water. I do not know what causes this. Maybe some of you experts out there can give us a hand, but this is kind of crazy phenomenon. This is happening out in the middle of the ocean. Let us know what you think is happening and follow for more.
The world is getting stranger by the day. Everywhere, unexplainable events, eerie phenomena, and unnatural sightings are being caught on camera, and people believe it's the start of something much worse. Shocking phenomena. The following clips were recorded at different locations. First one was captured off the coast of Florida on the 23rd of September 2025 by a fisherman. He was shocked to see a massive ring in the middle of smoky clouds which had an orange glow coming from it. Then another person from Brazil captured this enigmatic sight, almost identical, but the clouds were much darker. Lastly, on the 3rd of October 2025 in Iraq, this was captured. The origin can be seen coming from the bottom of the glowing orange circle, just 7 miles south of Mosul. These clips recorded back to back makes it very unusual and mysterious. Peculiar sighting. A man relaxing on the beach spotted something unusual streaking across the sky. It wasn't the quick flash of a meteor, but a slow, fiery trail cutting downward toward the ocean. As the burning streak stayed in the clouds, he was left stunned, wondering what exactly had just fallen from the sky. Strange sky swirl. This new phenomenon caught on camera is absolutely unbelievable. Filmed near the Large Hadron Collider outside of Geneva, Switzerland, the clouds started to twist and pull together like they were being sucked. As the swirling grows stronger, a small speck of light suddenly appeared near the base of the sky. In seconds, it shot upwards far faster than any jet or drone could move and vanished right into the vortex. The orb could have been a UFO going inside, which might actually be a portal. Since the footage had only recently come out, there hasn't been much investigation done on it. Real portal? In this clip, you see a glowing portal just hanging midair while a group of teens stand frozen, staring. Then a man steps closer and in a blink, he's gone, swallowed right inside. Even stranger for a split second, the portal seems to show a place almost like ours, but with 2 suns burning in its sky. Nobody knows where this footage came from and no expert has explained it, but this one could be fake. However, the next one is as real as it gets. Cloud Mystery. Back in July 2025, Hector Garcia from Philadelphia looked up and saw something he'd never forget. A shape-shifting, semi-transparent mass floating above his street. It glided along the power lines, flickering with tiny lights before slipping behind the rooftops. Not long after, workers in China uploaded clips of clouds rolling across the sky in strange, dramatic ways. Officials dismissed it all as debris, but the object's steady, guided motion and inner glow told a different story, which is why some have said it's a UFO disguised as a cloak for surveillance. Sky split. A Reddit user recently filmed something bizarre in the sky over Austin, Texas, and people still can't figure it out. The footage shows what looks like a massive crack tearing through the clouds, almost as if the sky itself had split open. It's not shaped like any storm or weather pattern you'd normally see, and that's exactly why it's going viral online. With thousands of people sharing their theories, some might have called it a glitch in the Matrix, others have said it could be a rare atmospheric phenomenon, but so far, no scientific explanation has surfaced, leaving the mystery wide open. NASA caught lying? On the 15th of August 2025, a man flying from Atlanta to Toronto captured something outside his plane window. That shouldn't be possible according to NASA. Around 34,000 feet, he filmed the sunrise using a Nikon P900 camera. In the footage, the sun can be seen rising from inside the clouds and not from the horizon. If the sun was really 93 million miles away, why would it look like it's coming up from the middle of the clouds rather than the distant horizon? This clip spread quickly across social media platforms, with people calling it for proof that mainstream science has been hiding the sun's true distance. Fake food. Some recent food videos have left people more disturbed than hungry. In August, an Indonesian family opened their sushi at home only to find it glowing a strange fluorescent blue. This all started happening since 2020 and continues to happen now. Look at this. Another clip surfaced of a Florida woman trying to cut a cabbage that stretched and bent like rubber instead of breaking apart.
That's how you know your cabbage is thick.
Things got even weirder when people across the world tested their cheese. Natural cheese melts, fake cheese acts like plastic. All of this is happening around the world.
All right. That's all I have for you for today. But if you like these videos, I'd like you to comment, share, like, and subscribe to this channel. So I can, push out these algorithms and get more of these videos up to you. But again, for content, most of the videos you see are not true. Most are, make your own opinion.